Thank you all for coming today. Believe it or not, this is my first public speech. So I was born in 1993 here in Dearborn. I've lived in this city more or less my whole life, apart from traveling and a couple of years in East Lansing when I was at MSU. In my short 29 years on this earth, I have seen monumental progress. In 2015, it became legal for me to get married here in Michigan. This is later than most states. As marriage equality spread throughout the country, each state that legalized same-sex marriage saw roughly a 14% reduction in suicide attempts by high school students. In my personal experience in private, usually Catholic schools, homophobia was still rampant until the late 2000s. What a remarkable change in the span of a generation to go from a time when absolutely none of my peers were out, when coming out could easily lead to one being beaten or bullied to death, to a time when same-sex marriage was legal and most Americans were supportive. I didn't think it would happen so fast, and before 2011, a mere 4 years before I could get married, I didn't even know that I was gay yet either. Maybe some part of me did know, but how could I begin to consider that it might be true when most of what I had ever heard or read from my peers, to the media I consumed, to the catechism of my own church, told me that being gay was the worst thing you could be? How could I possibly accept something so terrible about myself? That's the spiritual poison we call internalized homophobia, when society so effectively demonizes people like me that we begin to hate ourselves. The school board is considering whether to plunge all of its students back into that world, to drag all of Dearborn into the cruel miasma of a less enlightened age. If they ban these books, they will be poisoning LGBT youth as surely as if they had contaminated their drinking water. I experienced enough horror in that time. I came out in the midst of a terrible personal crisis, but positive representation of people like me made it possible by softening the hearts of enough of the public and diluting the poison clouding my own mind. Do not let prejudice and paranoia destroy every ounce of progress we have made in my lifetime. Inclusion has always been our antidote.